damn it, I fucking mute motherfucking cocksucker. Shit, yeah.
There we are.
It's just because he likes to get the thumb snap. If anybody else gets it...
It's out of context.
Bullshit.
Start that shit over.
Everybody, this is Thee Roadiologist. I'm sure if you're a part of the scene, you know this guy.
Probably headbutted you.
Yeah, he's jumped off the stage at you.
In the most friendly way possible.
Of course,
Right,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Group hug.
Catch me.
So, Travis, how did you get the name Thee Roadiologist?
Well, it was quite a making of it, actually. It's been talked about numerous times among people that were there, and we can't quite decide exactly who came up with the name. It was during the days of Payload, and we were all sitting there jamming and stuff like that, and tried to come up with a name. It was the professor, of Roadie, and then it just kind of came about. Not sure exactly who pinpointed the name, but the Roadiologist came up, and we were like, that's it,
Yeah, I don't think Professor Roadie is.
Yeah,
That's it. That's a lot better than how I got Dead Boy as a nickname.
Let's just leave that there.
Yeah, Dead Boy got picked as a nickname as it was the first time that a friend of mine had ever seen me, one, without makeup, long black hair and everything,
Right.
and two, I was sick as fuck, and he was like, you look like shit, Dead Boy, and it stuck.
Boom, there it was.
So, yeah.
And Filth, it's not a nickname at all, but people try to make it a nickname.
Yeah.
I'm totally going to do that now.
You
It's a
realize,
cop-out.
no.
It's a
It's,
cop-out, though. It's kind of a cop-out. It's not
what
very
happened
creative.
is, like, all these people had nicknames, and during the days of MySpace,
Yeah, whole
like,
Jolly Pirate Clan and Jolly
Oh,
Pirate
right.
nicknames.
MySpace days.
I literally,
Taking up
anything that had
courses.
my name in it, like philosophy or
Right.
bastard covered bastard with bastard filling,
Right.
those were my names.
Filament.
Filter, these things just. But one of the other bands was like, "Hey, this is Filth," and I was like, "No, it's not. Don't call me that, please."
Yeah, I'm perfectly
Philosopher would've
fine.
been better.
Like, once again, I'm
Philosopher.
perfectly fine with Dead Boy just because of the fact that I don't, I like the separation between me and people, and also I fucking hate my own goddamn name. It sounds horrible.
The Roadiologist thing goes along with a lot of things. Like, if somebody's doing something cool and I help give them a light for a cigarette, it's Roadiology,
That is
Kinda
Roadiology.
Goes in turn.
Yeah, it's somewhere.
Many uses.
Yeah, it's somewhere between like an actual
I do everything but get on the stage.
like an
and
actual
play the
occupation.
That's not
and-
true.
Well,
Yeah, somewhere between an actual occupation and like Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance. It's somewhere in between.
Yeah.
There. Just encompass a little bit all of that.
I mean, he is the first person in most of my bands that I've ever been in. He will grab the equipment before the band members to throw them on stage.
remember the first time I met Phil was at I believe Payload was playing at Boomers at the time, and he had a bunch of ice makeup on his
Oh, yeah,
face.
the ice makeup
And,
thing, yeah.
We were in the mosh pit, and I headbutted him, and he stood up and he looked at me, and I gave him like a nod, and he was like, "God damn!" So I knocked like his ice crystals off his face. And then that same night, they said the craziest person in the mosh pit wins a shirt, and lo and behold, I won the shirt.
Are you wearing the shirt?
No, actually, it was the I Will Recreate Myself shirt.
Oh, I will
With
recreate.
the gears in the back. That was my favorite shirt.
I made that one.
That was my favorite shirt.
Yeah, I made hand cut that shit.
It looked
Which
good.
yeah,
I liked
that goes
shirt.
into another thing. We had this big long talk about merch and what we were gonna do for merch, and
Right.
like we're like we'll probably go for a company depending upon what it is and stuff like that. But we also want to do some other stuff. Like I love that old school shit, like where the Misfits had a stencil, you throw your jacket up there,
Right.
we spray paint your fucking jacket.
Right.
I want to do some shit like that too.
cool.
Just make some stencils of the logo, and mind you, nowadays people be like, "Oh, get the fuck away from my jacket!" Like and that, by the way, was a Mexican accent. I totally owe that to Louis C.K. He did that. That was fucking amazing. But
Who did I hear do that?
it was Louis C.K.
No, it was Tom Segoya.
Louis did it too.
Okay.
But
Pretty sure Louis did it too.
I'm not going to be surprised either way.
Anyways, that's racist. Into which it's not. How dare you, Phil? We're gonna edit the shit out of that. That's
trying to care.
Yeah. Well, it won't unless we don't edit that out, and then somebody will take that shit horribly wrong, and somehow you are now a racist, and you didn't even say the fucking joke.
Fuck him.
Fuck that guy.
But yeah, we had a bunch of ideas for the merch stuff like that. That was like, you know, like a lot of the stuff that we can do in house. I like to do in house, particularly the art and things like that. You know, I think it comes up better a lot, depending upon how theatrical your band is. Like, I have a great admiration for the bands that they wake up in their camo pants and insert illegible metal shirt here, and they roll out of bed, get on stage, play, and it's fucking awesome. Yeah. I love that shit to death. I also have a love for the ones that put a bit more theatricality into something that they're doing and make it something bigger. Particularly
it's gotta have a balance.
Yeah, particularly if you make it something bigger and darker as opposed to bigger and ridiculous.
It's gotta be a good balance
like
to it.
When that one band did the... Yes. Well, that's not what I mean by dark, is what I'm getting at. What I mean by dark is like, you know, I think we can do a lot with the Syndicate because of the fact that we can play the bad guy. I like that idea.
There was a band that I remember a Broken Machine playing with, and they came all the way from Fort Lauderdale, and they had a 20-minute set, and it took them over 10 minutes to set up just the theatrics that they had, like these stones that they built in like coffins and tombs and everything around them. And then they played like 4 shitty Misfit sounding-esque songs, and then they got off the stage, and I was just like, ooh. Then that's where balance comes in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, like, for example, the Syndicate sign that I want to make and everything like that. That is, it'll have a handle on it, and you're done. Well, I mean, you plug it in, but also on the back of that, like, you just... I'm going to attach, there'll be a light in the front that lights up, it says Syndicate, and then the lights on the back that kind of shoot off. That's it. You're fucking done. And as time goes on, I've seen a bunch of fucking, like 4-cam, 4-par cam fucking setups for like next to nothing. And I like, backlighting. I love backlighting, you know, like the lower backlighting, to just be able to switch out. Even with leaving the house lights on and shit, just occasionally just switch that on. Love that shit. And also just getting an insanely powerful strobe, but not, and this is key, not actually directing it at the crowd. Because when I saw Demue, it was awesome, and then they played, We'll do away with your kind. God damn it. Anyways, the song starts off with the double kick, just... And it was synced. But the problem is they had the most powerful strobes in the universe, and they're on either side of the drum riser, and you could not look at them. Right. And I couldn't see shit for like 5 minutes. It was... awesome. I was like, yeah, that's awesome. And Shaq grabs us up there and he's like, look at my fringe.
That was one thing I never understood, was his fringe.
All right.
Honestly, it looked better in white whenever they went to the white leather, but it's still, you're still like, what's up with that, man? And I mean, I've seen him in Chrome Division. I don't know if you've heard Chrome Division.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, Chrome Division. It's like basically him and a couple other dudes that are into heavier bands doing like dirty bar rock, really. Like, and he's just got his aviators on, and he still looks like him. He doesn't have the makeup. He's got
7
his
foot
on.
tall, wearing
leather jacket, leather pants, no fringe. And I'm like, what the fuck? So in the band that you actually have videos of you riding a Harley around on, you don't got any Easy Rider shit going on. But in the black metal one,
balance.
Yeah,
Balance.
Today's word is brought to you by balance.
Letter B.
For bullshit as well.
Balance.
So, Travis, though, getting back to balance, now you've seen bands you're not incorporated with or anything like that. What bands have really brought out like a good mixture of balance and, you know, just the music, the stage performance, everything?
We going local or
Just looking for you to tell me, hey, as a fan, not as somebody who's like...
Well, see, the thing is, I've seen Rob Zombie have 20-foot robots on stage, which is awesome. You know, some people may say it's too much. Then I've seen a band completely stripped down. Rob Zombie again the next year.
Yeah.
Completely stripped down. You know, to the what was the album? The White Ponies or
Educated
Horses. You know, went from one to another, and they were equally as good.
Yeah.
You know, because he even asked on stage at Livestock. He said, you know,
that I was at that.
Why people didn't ask him? You know, people asked him why didn't he bring the 20-foot robots. He's like, well, I want to do a stripped down set and see if people are still the same. You know, it's a wide range of what balance could be. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, because he made the most use of the crowd. He
did.
Worked the crowd great, even though he was being condescending in a good way.
Yeah.
Like
his performance was still just as good.
Fucking Florida man is dumb. When he brought the girls up on stage, that was amazing. That was cool. He was like, I can already tell this is a horrible idea. I'm sorry. And that made the set so much better because just hearing him. They still played, you know, played.
It was still
great.
It was still a great show. I was just as impressed with the 20-foot robots and the nothing.
Right.
You know,
it all goes
just as good.
Yeah, it all kind of, you know, goes with that level, you know, whatever level of theater.
I'm not sure if that answers your question.
I mean, like,
it's kind of a roundabout way of answering it.
For me, like, one of the shows that has always blown my mind will always be Metallica. When, like, you're watching them and it just gets into that part where the stage is collapsing in on itself and people are on fire and people are falling from the rafters and they're just dangling there, and then Metallica comes out and plays like Damage Incorporated and you're like, oh, that was amazing.
I saw that, you know, I saw that exact show and that was amazing. But I also, you know, I saw, you know, like seeing Metallica, like if they would have just came out and played Damage Incorporated, I was like, that's fucking amazing.
Like I seen Summer Sanitarium tour. They came on tour and they played, you know, for 2 hours. And the first hour was a heavy set and the next hour was an acoustic set, you know, and each one of them was just as intriguing, you know. Meanwhile, I left prior to the end of the show because I was wicked tired. You know.
Yeah, that happened
the whole day.
That happened at an Ozfest. We ended up leaving whenever Sabbath was on, and I felt fucking horrible because I really wanted to see all of the set because I'm like, any of these dudes is going to kick off at any minute. And meanwhile, 20 goddamn years later, somehow they're, anyways.
Yeah.
Formaldehyde. I don't know, but we ended up leaving. And it wasn't that they were putting on it; we were just dead. But like before that, it was the year that like Manson had played, and that was whenever he had like the 30-foot tall skirt, and that I was like, that was, you know, like for that song, that fucking worked out great and everything. Also, it was ballsy because that shit was wobbling all over the fucking place, and I was like, there's no way you would get me in that fucking thing.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, Manson has always thrown on a good show.
He's a damn good performer.
Yeah.
Stage presence wise, and theatrical wise.
My favorite Manson moment was, and when I saw him in late '96, might have been early '97. All I know is it was fucking freezing. He was down at Janus Landing, and he was bent over, and somebody threw a full water bottle at him in the back of the head, and like I was on the side of the stage at that point, and he was bent over, so his hair is all down his face, and I saw him smile. And I was like, I really fucking like this dude.
That's great.
I really like this dude. And then closed with Man That You Fear, with just the white orchids and wine and blood dripping on it. Like, beautiful.
Yeah.
I liked, like, I took a friend who hates the whole Manson vibe. He's just like,
glam type deal.
But he decided to come with.
It's changed a lot over the years too.
But he came like he was one of those, it needs to be, you know, 80s thrash metal Pantera style. That's the kind of music that he liked. But I was able to be like, hey, I have an extra ticket to this Manson show, and it was during the Mechanical Animals tour. Mm-hmm. The late 90s, you know.
That's great. That's great. That's great. That's when he was really good.
And he comes out on stage on that TV cross thing, and he's like, I take back everything I've ever said. this was one of the greatest shows I've ever seen in my life.
He's one of those where he's an amazing performer if you get him performing.
Yeah.
Because if he's having a bad night, man.
Yeah.
And everyone's gonna fucking pay.
Yeah.
And
it's Axl Rose syndrome right there.
Yeah, it is.
You know, at the same time, though, except he's still making music I like.
Yep. There's an occasional song.
Yeah.
Occasional song here.
Well, I mean, to me, like, the last 3 albums, I completely changed my view on the last, actually, 4 albums by going, he's playing blues.
Right.
And specifically, the last album, he said, I want to pay tribute to the type of music that I've been basically ripping off, and everyone's been ripping off for the last fucking forever.
Yeah.
And just kind of go with it. And when I look at that music as blues music, I'm like, oh, it's fucking amazing. Especially because lyrically, he hasn't lost his chops. The only thing is I feel...
Really? I didn't feel his chops were there during, what was it? Day 3 of... Day 3 of a 6-day bender or whatever it was.
You would if you'd ever been there.
Man.
Yeah, that's true.
Coming from the straight edge guy, I got nothing there.
Yeah, so this is coming from a point in his life where he's literally got cocaine bags hanging off of knives he stabbed into his walls. Like, you haven't quite been there, and that's good. We don't want that.
It's great.
The baby be looking at you funny like, Daddy, this is seriously now you've waited all this time, and now you're like, I'm going for it. But the thing is while I still really enjoy it, and especially, you know, I find a lot of lyrical content, especially because it's multi-layered, a lot of it has to do with now, unless you have seen a whole bunch of 1930s films, you're not going to get his lyrics. And I think that's kind of a bold move and kind of an asshole move at the same time. But the only thing that gets me down about it is the fact that I've always wanted to see an artist. And I love it when artists grow and when they change. I'm not one that you're going to find complain about, like, you know, Tool going like, oh, they're not as heavy as they used to be. When Maynard came out and said, you know, like,
Tool,
we're doing this to heal. That's the purpose.
Yep.
I have no problem with a band evolving like that.
Right.
The same thing, like, and it gets me, you know, like Metallica being probably the biggest of all time. Mm-hmm. I still get it, because if you were up there playing it for that long, you probably want to change too, and I get that. But I've always wanted to see an artist go from someone that was perceived as what Manson, whenever he came around to the Antichrist days, whenever he actually like became a bigger thing, that where he was actually a threat because of his message and his image. A lot of it was simply image, but the image was what brought people in, and then you hear the lyrics, and the lyrics are actually the more dangerous part, because it really wasn't that heavy.
No.
Listen to it, and musically, it's not that heavy, but that message.
How about the new Lamb of God album?
I
see they went lighter too.
They did.
But they did it in a way, like, I was listening to the Josta podcast, and they were talking to Chris Adler, and he was like, we learned from the mistakes of the people that came before us. Like, we saw the missteps that Metallica took. He's like, we love Metallica, but there was missteps taken. Same thing with Megadeth.
Yep.
And I think they did it in the best way possible.
I think they took great steps.
Yeah,
that song with Randy singing clean for that long.
Yeah, but also releasing that third.
Right.
You know, like they did. That wasn't the first release. First, they were like, here's the Lamb of God sounding Lamb of God song.
512, or what was it? Not 512, it was the other one.
Yeah, because I think 512 was second. They did
numbers,
Still Echoes.
Still Echoes, that was it.
And
I heard 512, I didn't hear Still Echoes.
And then they heard 512, and then they did Overlord.
Yeah, and I thought that was an amazing way to do it. And then the way they ended Overlord, where they're like, oh,
the
what?
Video,
and you're like,
it's so modern.
Yeah.
But yet.
Yeah, to be able to see him, and I was like, I did not think that would come out of his fucking face.
Never.
So
never
the first
thought that
half,
would come out of his
like,
face.
you're like, damn. And then all of a sudden the second half kicks in, and it's like, oh no, we're still Lamb of God.
Yep.
And they're like, they're going to reassure you.
Yep.
I thought that they did that really well.
They did a great job.
You know, at the same time, I think you kind of have to do that, but it sucks that you got to do that too. Like, I think it's
great
better
to put a spin on it, but just don't overdo it.
Well, I think it's good to be if you're gonna do it from the start. Be one of those bands that, like, you can't really pigeonhole. Like Tool is a good example of that. Mm-hmm. Like, people have a really hard time pigeonholing them.
They've always
because
been who they are.
yeah,
honestly.
you just
Well,
like
they were
sound
never
moves
a
around.
metal band, but they were accepted by a metal community.
right because of their music.
Because they're
I mean,
prog, because
Yeah.
of the progginess of it. But
Yeah.
at the same time, you could,
their commercial songs are much different than their not commercial songs.
Yeah.
Honestly, Tool
yeah,
is.
and especially once again going back to like lyrical content, that's not the type of thing that you normally hear on like rock radio.
Right. Yeah. Tool is one of the.
To this
Maynard
day,
is one
if
of
I
the
hear
best
Push It,
lyricists.
I just lose it. To this day.
Push It.
Yeah.
Deftones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No,
My Own
Deftones
Summer.
is Shove It, right?
Shove it, push it.
No, Push
God
It.
damn it! Now I got Deftones,
Yeah,
Tool,
I know
and
you got.
Static
You're
X.
fucking up my brain. Push it. Yeah, Static X is coming in
Yeah,
there too.
all of them are just
You're fucking up my brain, Phil.
push it, shove it, fuck
Push it.
Yeah, because no, Deftones is
Push it.
Shove It.
Shove it. Right. Yeah. My Own
And
Summer.
Push It is Tool.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
Got me confused. Gotcha.
Yeah, push it.
I think Third Eye was my
push it
big
real
turning
good.
point for Tool. Because Third Eye was like, when they wrote that, it was a total offset of whatever they've done, honestly, before. It was very
Yeah, that's
tranquil
what-
and like
yeah.
different,
Yeah, and because I think that it's one of those things. It's a problem. I think we're actually not. I don't know if it's gonna be a problem, but something we're gonna run into because of the fact that like the way that we've started this as we actually pull everything together. It's gonna change it's gonna change the sound.
Right.
Right.
Because of the fact that we're going to have to figure out how the writing structure goes and everything. And that's going to change the sound. And the thing is I'm perfectly fine with that. I think that's great as long as, like, we don't alienate some of our songs.
Right, yeah.
Or
It's
leave
good to have
a
variety.
song. Yeah.
And
To, like, alienate some of the shit that, like Goliath that we have now. That we all like Goliath, but find out to...
Just stop something.
Yeah, you stopped the recording.
Damn it.
Find out 2 years from now that...
Lightning one.
Nice.
Boom.
There it is.
That, to find out
Dan
two,
Bishop. Go.
Yeah.
find
So
out,
getting a jersey for that.
find out 2 years from now that like we can't even play that song. There's a possibility that could happen just because of the
You should
fact
never record something you can never
Well,
play.
no. Like I remember back
that. No,
in.
I mean, just where like it would no longer fit.
Like in ABM, we constantly ran into issues where we were like, because we had our earlier stuff was a lot more alternative metal, and then we progressed heavier, and then we got a little bit more technical, and then we got a little bit,
That was because of change of band members, if you think.
And
about
but
it.
I mean,
My old band had the exact same thing happen. Is we went from a slower sound to a
Different writing by different members, honestly.
to a blackened thrash,
is.
which is where I always wanted us to kind of end up and everything. And because of that, like that earlier stuff, well over half of it we had to let go.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's good. It was good because of the fact that we were moving in the direction we wanted to. But
not to sound like you're tooting your own horn, but you kind of want to have that Metallica, I still want to hear the Four Horsemen sound.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, so like I would get really upset. Like we would have band members who, wouldn't want to learn.
I don't want to play that song.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
want to play that song.
Well,
I'm
that's-
like, we had so many fans who like every show
Kidneys.
I'd be like, hey, what do you guys want to hear tonight? Either kidneys or prosthetic. You know.
I don't want to play that song.
I was always wish list.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but like within Alpha we had the same type of thing where like there were songs that we did
you were
keep.
in Alpha?
Yeah.
I remember that band.
We had the songs that we did keep, like Cut the Rope.
The drummer was his wife.
She was solid,
Yeah.
dude.
No,
Cool, it's great.
yeah. Well, that was the thing. Like,
Props.
she used to get so pissed off because she would get offset and people would be like, "Wow, you're really great on
Kara, I'm
drums
sorry.
for a girl," and she's like, "Motherfucker, you wait till I get this corset off, and I'm gonna kick the shit out of you." I'm in another band, the Autumn Solace, with them now,
Cool.
along with another metal one that we don't quite have a name for yet. But anyways, but we went through all of those changes, and like some of those songs left because of the fact that we're like they weren't up to the quality anymore. And that, that's one thing. If you're like, we have moved past this, that's fine.
Word of the day. Balance.
Yeah. And then we go and we would still keep stuff like Cut the Rope, even though Eve was like, we did change the intro, because she's like, if I have to do that intro one more time, I'm gonna fucking shoot myself. So we changed the whole intro to that and everything, but like, the music evolved, it got better. The songs that we kept upped by a good 50 BPM, like, easily. And that was good. That was a good evolution. But you can with this type of project, especially with like the way that your synth goes, it can change so much, so very much. I mean, because you can get stuff that can go in a good sense, like early Cyclone 9 to later Cyclone 9, where it started as a solely industrial thing into an industrial black metal. What the fuck is that? And I love that.
Right.
Or you can go and you can be like Combi Christ and go like mean aggro tech industrial type of thing into, bringing all kinds of guitars and stuff into it, into like, I'm starting to get confused now.
Right, yeah. You add too much.
Yeah.
What happens?
Now he did some stuff where like on one of them there was no synth at all, and I'd be like, that's fine, for a song or two or something.
Like that album that Stabbing Westward released, and you're like, this is not what I wanted from Stabbing Westward.
No, that was not Stabbing Westward.
Yeah, but like having synth, it can change the entire thing, and also depending upon band members and stuff, which is why we, like the people that we bring in, we really want to be able to click with, because if not, like the power structure and everything has to click a certain way.
For instance, have you heard the newer Spine Shank album?
I have not.
I knew they came out.
Yeah, I knew they came out.
No offense to them, but it's not what it should have been.
I think I heard that, and I didn't listen to it for that reason. Just, I was like, oh.
My opinion is it's not very.
Because I mean, Silent Civilian, when he left Spine Shank and he started doing Silent,
they were great.
I was like, wow, this is really
Silent
good.
Civilian was great, dude.
And then I heard not too long ago they got Spine Shank back together, and I was like, yay!
No.
And then I heard, no.
Big letdown.
Yeah, well,
but I was also let down when what's his name left Stabbing Westward. Now he has The Dreaming.
Oh, yeah, that's.
I'm like, ooh, no.
Well, you got the biggest ones that always give me mixed feelings, like Dax going from Acid Bath to Dead Boy and the Elephant Man, and like I love both of them, I do, but I'm like, somebody please, I need more Acid Bath, please. But they did the respectful thing for them when the bass player died. They're like, no, we're done. And I get that, but I'm like, man,
got any more of that Acid Bath?
Spine, they just basically made every song the same.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear? Speaking of which, did you hear the new Orgy?
No.
And by new Orgy,
they have a new Orgy.
Yeah, and by new Orgy, I mean new Orgy. Jay Gordon, everybody else is fucking new,
right?
And there was a song on there where he was the line he had about touching his dick was just, I was like,
yeah, it's enough for me.
Fucking God. Like it was a groupie type of song, and I was just like, oh.
I can see why you're still
a panty dropper.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, like a panty dropper in the rudest possible way. We're like, oh, this dropped my panties, but since it did, I should not touch you. Like, seriously, that got you hot? That was, oh God damn it.
I will say one of my favorite moments of all time was doing the Broken Machine and doing Tragedy and Insanity at the Gasoline Alley show. And the part where I'm like, I'm going to spread your chest like you spread your legs, and all the girls threw their underwear at me.
Nice.
And like, it was a gag.
Yeah.
But it was just...
You're like,
but it was just so funny. I was
just
like...
It
was like...
That was a good feeling.
I was like...
I love your panties.
I literally just said, I'm going to kill you for being a whore, and you threw your underwear at me.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. That's the ones that don't understand.
Yeah, well, I got, I have, it's not about murder, but, my girlfriend loves, it was a line that was, I want you to see me like, I want you to love me like an advertisement so that you see me everywhere you look. And she was like, "Oh, I really like that." And I'm like, "You shouldn't. That's not. That's bad. That's bad.
It's not healthy.
No, that's not. Yeah."
Say that again in your head.
And she's like, "Yeah, I know, but." And I was like, "Well, touche. I mean, I wrote it. I know that's fucked up. So okay."
I mean, one of my favorite moments in Slipknot is "You let our fingers clench," and I'm like, "Yes." I'm like, I know this. I'm like, this is not a good moment.
But damn it, man, I know it was a mistake. I kind of wish I liked the version where he does it like, "Damn, it was a mistake. Oh, damn it, man, I knew it was a mistake." Yeah.
What is it about local shows that are going to be what draw you to that show is what I'm getting at.
The music. Period.
So, like, I'm trying to, like, think of how to, say a show is at the State or at 662 or whatever in the local area.
The venue doesn't matter.
But it's a Friday night.
Friday night?
Yeah. You just worked your ass off all day.
It's nothing. Friday night.
You hang off. This guy hangs off.
Work with me, gotcha.
The guy works hanging off of buildings.
567 feet.
Yeah.
It's no big deal.
It's insanity.
It's fine.
It's fine.
And you got a wife and a kids at home. And
I'm glad they're at home. They're not like you work 500 there. You have your wife and children with you.
They're dangling from the roof with you. It's insane.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fine. No
They're
problem.
tied off. They're great.
But I mean, like, to me, it's hard to be like, I'm gonna go to this show. I love this. Like, there are bands out there that I really love, like Screaming at the Silence.
Screaming at the Silence is awesome.
Every time I see them, it's a great show.
It's a great show, absolutely.
And I love
great people.
Yeah, I love Divine Science.
Divine Science is incredible. I just saw them Sunday.
Yeah,
I believe it was Sunday.
Adam.
Maybe.
Adam is a great guitarist, and then
man.
I'm happy.
The vocalist is.
I'm happy to be seeing Randy, especially from my old Broken Machine days.
Oh,
now,
Randy, you know.
You didn't even recognize it, did you?
It was so funny because I was sitting back there and I was looking right, and I'm like, dude, are you playing for this band? He's like, yeah. I'm like, what color is your belt? Right? I said, what color is your belt? He goes, I don't know, it's like army or something like that. I'm like, at least it's not a rainbow, dude.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, it was not a rainbow, it was Rastafarian. I'm like, dude, whatever, you're still gay. Dude, it was so funny, dude. I could not believe that he was playing bass. I was like, dude, I know your bass player. I was talking to Adam, you know. I know your bass player. He's like, oh, you do? But the vocalist, though, man, that guy is really good.
Yeah, I got to watch a bunch of their clips they posted up on the Facebooky. But, I mean, like, there are these bands that I really like in this local area. And I'm like, God, they for whatever reason, like, I want to see them. And I find myself because of...
I've got horrible social anxiety. I have to really, really want to fucking see a band to be willing to go out and be like, all right, man beard, sweat, and fucking people touching me and me not losing my mind.
Right.
I really gotta want to go. Yeah. And for me, I'm basically been crawling out of a hole that I've been in for the last few years and everything. So like getting back into it and everything is it's a lot of fucking work.
Yeah.
Like,
so your initial question, otherwise it takes, I have a busy schedule.
Yeah.
None, but it's gonna take a lot of motivation for me to get to cause problems with the old lady, and to mess up my schedule to actually get to shows,
Yeah.
And it's got to be worth it, because my family is the most important thing in my life.
Yeah.
First. They're first. My extracurricular activities are, come second, And if I can get the shows and I can support local bands, that's my first priority.
Because nobody supports in this scene like Thee Roadiologist.
I do my best.
I mean, like, it's above and beyond what I mean. Like, you got your fans out there, and we love you all, and it is insane to see this guy when he shows.
I don't love all of you. There's a few of you know who you are.
But like I said, I'm not even kidding. He is the first guy to be like, "Hey, I know you're going on in a minute. I want to throw your shit up on stage."
Yeah.
Like, before band members can even realize what's going on.
I'll start loading drums before the drummer even knows I'm loading drums. And then I'll start breaking them down just the same. You know, I support the scene totally.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that said that was my job.
I've been doing it for 14 years here in this area, honestly.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's one of the reasons I definitely wanted you to have a chance to chat with us.
Well, I definitely appreciate you guys inviting me here, man. It's great.
Yeah, and
it's a good chat with you guys, hang out.
We got a long way till we're, you know, till we get to that place where we're you know, where we actually know we're established.
Right.
I mean, hell, we're waiting on our first, you know, for that first single release now and everything. But like,
I can't stop singing it.
Yeah, it does crush, and that's one thing I sat
willing
there
to do a duet with me on that
Oh, yeah.
on a live show, you know.
Yeah, I sat there doing like, I have heard that song because I was mixing it. I have heard that song hundreds of times, and that's
not a bad song to hear hundreds of times.
No, but it does make you hate it a bit.
I heard it about 15 times on the way over here.
Yeah, it makes you hate it a bit, or just, you know, like sitting there going through isolated vocal tracks and vocal tracks and shit, going, oh, I gotta, if that thing doesn't fucking move there, and then I'm like, and then going through the mix where I'm like, we need to have the sweeping with the doo-doo-doops, that's gotta, I still gotta be able to hear the crunch there, and
Last
the
mix I heard was
gotta
great.
sit on the
Last
outside.
mix I heard was great.
And
honestly,
yeah, that was the vocal mix where, like, to me the music still sounds pretty muddled. Like, I gotta spread it out.
Yeah, it's muddled.
Yeah, I gotta spread it out around his vocals.
Right.
But I needed to get the vocal mix done.
But it
first.
sounded really good.
And
what was it about the song that was it like the whole like I Am Goliath?
I like
thing?
the build up, dude. The build up was really cool. Like, how you started off like subtle, you know, and you built it up, and then like I like the breakdown in the chorus, like when it's like the whispering type shit, and then it kind of like. It keeps going, and then it builds up a little more.
Yeah,
I heard a couple things that I could do, and cool.
Yeah, we did. Well, it was actually a real big thing, like, because we sat around and go, you know, like, talking about that, and essentially that song is like one of those things where, like, it's 3 builds,
right?
And like, to just take it from the nothing to a build each time.
I definitely like the structure of it.
Yeah, and it
break
was
out in the beginning with the lyrics, you know.
Yeah,
vocals and stuff.
Everything came together, like, because at first, when I first showed him the beginnings of it, I was like, all right, here is, and he was like, oh, that's all right, the structure. And I was like, I was never going to play any of those things ever again. That was going to be just the intro, and he's like, no, and I was like, all right, so.
Guy's a fucking genius, man.
Well, then I was like, all right, well, but I can't play that guitar part again. I can't, so I'll keep the synth, and I took the synth, and that's when I made that second verse.
Works very well.
A fucking punch you in the face kind of verse.
That's cool.
And then it goes into the tremolo picking and does all that stuff. But you know, and then the last bridge, everything has that build again.
And I love how that last that pause happened. We were like, okay, we're just gonna completely pause right here.
Oh yeah, with the you by yourself at the end there.
And I wasn't supposed to do that, and I was just like,
I like it.
But I did that by accident. He was like, we're keeping it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Because the actual
totally
take originally went, no, oh shit. Yeah. And I was like, that's fucking awesome. We're keeping this shit.
Yeah, I like it though.
Yeah.
I like the pause at the end.
And all it took then was like us putting like me putting a little click behind it so they knew where the hell he was while doing it, and then letting the vocoder kind of bleed over in on top of it.
He's got a great structure, dude, with his writing. This guy does, you know.
And we were definitely having a lot of fun because, like he said, he was like, "This is just an intro," and I'm like, "This is the verse. This could be the chorus." Then what we're gonna do is just completely pause right here, and then just some kind of build.
Yeah.
And he's like, bass drop and.
Well, essentially what I did was I was like, I will do everything that he said and add something on top of it because of the fact that like I was like, I don't want to repeat. Yeah, I want to build on top of it. So I'm like,
and it is different. The structure is very different, like throughout the song.
Yeah, like the second half of the chorus, and it's one of those things that's there, but you don't really know. Is like I add an extra synth on top of him the second time through, because otherwise it would just kind of like you want it to continuously escalate.
Yeah.
But that was the big thing since he was like whenever he told me that he wanted it to be Goliath and he was showing me the lyrics for it and everything, I was like, well, I want the song to be fucking epic because I knew that first part that I had in the original thing that was a minute, like less than a minute long, like including, like that long intro with the synth. That whenever I hit the
love the way it breaks out though. It's
that,
cool.
yeah, like I was like that's pretty epic. But then I was like,
cool.
well, fuck, it's gotta get more epic each time.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
We'll work with this, and but that getting back way back to where we were, that being the first thing. Like I know we got a long way before we have before we're known for what we are,
right,
whatever that's going to be, and that's going to be a big thing. Is also like we, like shit like this, people are going to kind of see that and said, you don't normally get that kind of thing,
right.
like because we got to see how the structure is going to shake down, and that's actually that's going to be a real big thing because I think my biggest asset is just the fact that I'm very good at composing.
Yeah.
Like I'm fine as a keyboard player. I'm okay as a guitar player. Okay as a bass player. I can program, but composing is the thing there. Like song structure, the creation of that, and but at the same time, that's not something I'm gonna fucking hoard to myself. I want to be able to bring that in with people that actually fucking play guitar real good, and they do, and you're like, oh, god damn it.
I also do want to throw in even though he's saying he's great at all these things, he's also a great lyricist and a great vocalist himself, as he did in his Alpha days. So it's cool for me to actually sit down with somebody and be like, this is where I'm kind of coming from, and he's like, what if we add this aspect to it? And I'm oh wow, shit, I didn't even think of that.
Cooperation, man. Teamwork,
well,
dude.
once again, that was the thing we hinted on. We hinted on. We mentioned it in the band before, but so. While he was in a Broken Machine and I was in an Alpha and everything, as we were going along, before that there was Descending Angel, where we were both singers in the same band, and
that was a fun time.
It was. We got one good song, but at the same time, he and I have very similar vocal styles,
right?
Or vocal tones, entirely different styles. Which was always kind of a cool thing to work with because of the fact that I like really fast syncopated vocals and stuff like that, and he can get the bulls, and I mean, I don't get me wrong, I throw my bulls out there all the time.
Right.
My bulls.
Just gonna lay it here on the table.
But that was something that that works to our advantage too, is because of the fact that way, whenever we do something on an album, whenever a lot of the time, if you have somebody that double tracks on an album, and there's a high and a low, and you're like, oh, that's great, and live he gets to pick one.
Yeah.
We can fucking do both.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Encouraged for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And even though he's not here, Skylar, not only can he do the sweepings and the tappings and the craziness you've heard in the song, but he's also an amazing singer. Not a screamer at all.
Right.
He sings.
Clean vocals.
So I'm looking forward to, as we progress, throwing some of him in there, doing some of that, and I think,
especially with some of the equipment that I just picked up, I think that will work out real well because I got TC Hellion vocalist live, so that you can actually do a 3-part, including your own voice, 4-part harmony, and you can actually either set it up to where you pick the harmony, or it just goes off of whatever instrument you plug in. So if he's playing to himself, he can actually play his own vocal harmony while Phil is screaming. Nice. So get a 3-part vocal harmony behind Phil screaming.
Yeah.
And then I could vocode behind that, and it'll just be a wall of fucking vocals. And we'll be like, we don't need nothing else.